Okay, let's just dive right in. I want you to picture something for a second. It feels a little like a glitch in the Matrix.
Okay.
You have two objects. We can call them twins. And to the naked eye, they look absolutely identical. They live at the same address. They wear the same clothes.
Right.
If you run a standard background check, the results come back as a perfect match.
So it's total redundancy. Usually if you have two data points that are that similar, you just, delete one, assume it's a duplicate.
Exactly. But here's the catch. You take these two identical twins and you put them inside, let's say, a pressure chamber. You apply a very specific, very intense force. And suddenly, that whole illusion just shatters. One of them turns into a statue. I mean, rigid, unmovable, basically a stone. And the other,
What happens to the other one?
it explodes into a hurricane.
That's a pretty drastic divergence. One becomes a crystal and the other becomes a storm.
And just to be super clear for everyone listening, we are not talking about psychology or biology today. We're talking about numbers. Specifically, we are diving into the very strange hidden lives of the numbers 28,757 and 24,257.
Which I know it sounds like we're just reading from a phone book, but these two numbers are the main characters in a really groundbreaking discovery. This is a story about symmetry breaking, about hidden architecture, and something the researchers call the arithmetic double helix.
That phrase, arithmetic double helix, that's what hooked me. It implies that math is DNA, that there's a structure to it that looks, remarkably like biology.
It really does.
So let's start at the beginning. We have these two numbers, 28,757 and 24,257. Why do we even call them twins? What makes them so indistinguishable at first?
To really get the resemblance, you have to look at where they live. Numbers don't just float around in a void. They exist inside structures or systems we built to organize them. And in this deep dive, the environment is the modulo 36 lattice.
Okay, modulo 36. I think most people have these vague memories of clock max from school.
Right. Clock back.
If it's 11 o'clock and you add 2 hours, it's 1 o'clock, not 13. That's modulo 12.
Precisely. You're wrapping the number line into a circle. But here, the researchers aren't using a 12-hour clock. They're using a 36-hour one. But, and this is key, don't just picture a flat clock face. The source asks us to visualize this topologically.
So three-dimensionally.
Exactly. Imagine taking the infinite number line and literally wrapping it around a cylinder that's exactly 36 units around.
Oh, okay. So it's like a spiral staircase. You count 1 to 36 on the first floor, and then 37 is directly above the one on the second floor.
You've got it. And this creates these vertical columns or channels that run all the way up the side of the cylinder.
But why 36? That was the first thing I wondered. Why not 10 or 100?
A great question. And the answer is actually really elegant. It's because 36 is the square of 6, and 6 is the first perfect number.
Right. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6.
It's mathematically beautiful.
Yeah.
And because they built this whole lattice on the square of a perfect number, the cylinder gets these very unique properties. It creates what the researchers call the 12 light channels.
Light channels. I mean, it sounds a bit like Star Trek, but we're talking about prime numbers.
Yeah, we are. In this modulo 36 world, prime numbers, the building blocks of all math, they can't just live anywhere. They're restricted. A prime number that's greater than 3 has to live in one of only 12 specific columns.
Those are the channels that are co-primed to 36.
Exactly. So you will never, ever find a prime in channel 6 or channel 12 or channel 18. They call those the dark channels.
But channels like 1, 5, 7, 11, those are the light channels. That's where the action is.
And that is where our two twins live. If you take 28,757 and you divide it by 36, the remainder is 29.
Okay.
And if you take 24,257 and divide it by 36, the remainder is also 29.
So they are neighbors. They both live in channel 29, which is one of those light channels.
Structurally, they occupy the same phase space. If you were just looking at the cylinder from the outside, you'd see these two numbers stacked vertically. They seem like they're from the same family.
And they're both semi-primes, too. That's
Yeah.
another similarity. They were both just made by multiplying two smaller prime numbers.
Correct. And that is where the hidden difference is buried. They have the same address, channel 29, but the furniture inside is different. 28,757 is made from 149 times 193.
Okay.
While 24,257 is made from 127 times 191.
So different ingredients, but the cake looks identical from the outside. And usually in number theory, you'd assume numbers in the same channel with similar properties will behave the same way.
It's the standard assumption. It's a safe bet. If I drop two bowling balls of the same weight, they should fall at the same speed. But this study introduces a variable that just changes everything: They apply a pressure test.
The greedy decompression algorithm. Which, honestly, that sounds like something my computer does when I'm running out of space.
Right.
Yeah.
But in this context, it's more like a physical force, isn't it?
Think of it like gravity, but a very specific, very tuned kind of gravity. The algorithm is a recursive formula. It takes the number, let's call it n, and it tries to subtract the biggest possible chunk of value it can. But it has to follow one rule. It uses the formula 3 times 2 to the power of k. So it's using powers of 2, 4, 8, 16, but then scaling them by 3.
That's right. So it asks itself, what is the biggest power of 2 that, when I multiply it by 3, still fits inside this number? It finds it, subtracts it, takes the remainder, and just does it again and again and again. It's trying to eat the number down to 0 as fast as it can.
It's a stress test. It's probing the number to see how it reacts to this specific mix of binary, the powers of 2, and ternary logic, the factor of 3.
And this is the moment. This is where the symmetry breaks. We have our twins sitting there in channel 29. We apply this gravitational pressure. You would expect them to crumble in the same way.
But they don't. The lattice acts like a prism. It takes these two, mathematically white lights and splits them into completely different colors.
The paper calls one the positive system and the other a negative system. So let's look at the first one, 20,757. The researchers give this one a nickname. They call its behavior the comet.
A comet. Okay, that implies motion, speed, a little bit of chaos.
A lot of chaos. When the greedy algorithm hits 28,757, the number just collapses. It doesn't just reduce gracefully, it free falls. In the very first major step, it drops from almost 29,000 all the way down to 4,181.
And I want to pause on that number, 4,181, because when I was reading the notes for this is where my jaw just dropped. That is not just a random pile of rubble.
Not at all.
4,181 is a celebrity in the math world.
It absolutely is. 4,181 is exactly the 19th Fibonacci number.
The Fibonacci sequence, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. The pattern that dictates how sunflowers grow, how hurricanes spin, how galaxies form spirals.
Yes. Finding a perfect Fibonacci number, F0 or 2, in the debris field of this algorithm is a massive, massive signal. In dynamic systems, hitting a Fibonacci number implies you are moving in a logarithmic spiral.
So the number isn't falling in a straight line, it's swirling. It has turbulence. It's behaving like a fluid or a gas under pressure.
It is. It's spiraling down the drain. But it's not just mindless chaos, right? It almost feels like it's looking for something.
A search mission.
Exactly. As it spirals down, it passes that Fibonacci marker, and then it hits another critical number, 149.
Wait, 149. That was one of the ingredients. That was one of the original prime factors of 28,757.
You caught it. The algorithm didn't just smash the number, it peeled it. The spiral was a search pattern that located the number's own core building block. It stripped away all the noise to find the signal.
That is incredible. It's like the number engaged in some kind of aggressive self-discovery.
But here's what defines it as the comet. It has so much momentum from this spiral, so much entropy, that it doesn't stop when it finds the answer. It crashes right through the floor.
It goes past zero.
It smashes into the negatives. It ends its journey at negative 43. This is why it's called the negative system. It's high energy, it's searching, it's spiraling, and ultimately, it's unstable. A comet hurtling through a solar system.
Okay, so that's twin A, the comet. Chaotic, spiraling, hitting Fibonacci numbers, and then crashing. Now let's bring in twin B. 24,257. Its neighbor in channel 29. Does it spiral?
Not even a wobble. This is the positive system. The researchers call this one the planet, or even more descriptively, the crystal.
Crystal implies rigid, structured, solid.
Totally solid. When you apply that same greedy algorithm, that same 3 times 2 to the K pressure to 24,257, it resists the spiral completely. It moves in a perfectly straight line. It descends, but it does so with mechanical precision.
There was that specific metric in the data that proved this, right? The constant 319.
This is the smoking gun. In every single step of the calculation for this number, if you analyze the difference between the operator and the remainder, it is exactly 319. It never, ever changes.
So while the comet is doing loop-de-loops and hitting Fibonacci milestones, the planet is just ticking 319, 319, 319. It's locked on rails.
It's invariant. It's resisting the entropy, but the real magic happens when you ask, well, what is 319?
I have a feeling it's not just some random constant.
Not at all. If we factor 319, what we get is 11 times 29.
29, that's the address. That's the channel number we started with.
It contains the number's own location. It's like a hologram. The number 24,257 is projecting this mirror image of its own address to protect itself from the pressure. It uses this constant, 319, to maintain a rigid, crystalline structure.
That is just wild. It's essentially self-referential shielding. I am 29, I am 29, I am 29. So, okay, we have one number that acts like a liquid or gas spiraling, searching, chaotic.
And another one that acts like a solid, rigid, predictable, crystalline. And this brings us to the core concept of the whole paper. This is the arithmetic double helix.
This was the visual that really tied it all together for me, because the paper argues that these aren't just two separate curiosities. They are two parts of a single functional structure.
Right. If you map these trajectories in 3D space using that cylindrical modulo 36 lattice we talked about, you see how they fit together? The positive system, the planet, it forms a vertical column, a rigid backbone going straight up and down.
That's the spine, the trellis.
And the negative system, the comet, forms a vine that wraps around that spine. It spirals around the rigid core.
So it is a helix, but it's not like DNA, is it? DNA is symmetric. You have two equal strands winding around each other.
Correct. This is an asymmetric helix. One part is pure order, one part is pure chaos. And the authors argue this asymmetry is fundamental. It's not a bug, it's the whole feature.
Why? Why do we need that asymmetry?
Well, think about information theory. If both strands were rigid planets, the system would be dead. A frozen crystal, no movement, no evolution, nothing could ever change.
And if both were chaotic comets?
It would just be noise, the gas would dissipate into nothing, you couldn't hold on to any data.
So you need the rigid backbone to define up and down, to provide the structure. And you need the chaotic spiral to bring dynamics and evolution into the system.
It's the perfect balance of structure and exploration. You need the library shelves, the order to hold the books, but you need the reader, the chaos, to move through them and make new connections.
That's a great analogy. It feels almost philosophical. But I have an engineering question here. If you have a chaotic, high-energy spiral wrapping around a straight pole, mathematically, why doesn't the spiral just fly away?
Right, centrifugal force.
Yeah, it should tear itself apart. What is keeping the vine on the trellis?
That is the question that defines the stability of the whole system. The answer lies in what the German text calls Nullstellen. Null points.
Null points. Okay, that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Captain, we're approaching the null point.
It basically functions like a sci-fi shield generator. The researchers found specific coordinates, for example, at 27,599 and 28,757, where the energy of the chaos and the energy of the order exactly cancel each other out.
So they synchronize for a moment.
They synchronize perfectly. Think of them as rivets, or the rungs of a ladder that connect the spine and the vine. At these specific moments, the chaotic spiral intersects with the field of the rigid cylinder, and the difference becomes zero.
It hits a reset button.
Exactly. The spiral gets too wild, it starts to pull away, but then it hits a null point. And that point forces the spiral back toward the stable backbone. Without these null points, the whole system, the arithmetic double helix, it would disintegrate. It's self-correcting.
That changes the picture entirely. It's not just two lines, it's a mechanism. It's a self-stabilizing machine that's made out of numbers.
And what's even more fascinating is that the paper suggests this is a fractal pattern.
Meaning it's scale invariant. We'd see this at any magnification.
Precisely. We're looking at numbers in the 20,000 range. I mean, small potatoes in the world of math. But if we went to millions or billions or the massive numbers used in state-level cryptography, the theory says we would find this same split. We'd find comets and planets repeating this dance on a massive scale.
And that leads us to the so what factor.
Yeah.
Because this moves from abstract number theory into something that could actually break things in the real world. The paper mentions a term, asymmetronic.
Right, asymmetronic. It's a term they coined to describe using this symmetry breaking to extract information. And the biggest application is, of course, cryptography.
Because our digital security, our bank accounts, our emails, it all relies on semi-prime numbers. We multiply two huge primes to get a massive key, and we rely on the fact that it's incredibly hard to work backward from that key to the original ingredients.
We assume the number is a black box, a fortress. But remember our planet. Remember 24,257?
The one that was on the tracks. The one that kept flashing 319.
That number wasn't a black box. It was a glass box. It revealed its own internal structure. It's 319 because it was too rigid. It created a constant pattern that a computer could easily detect.
So if a massive key used in encryption happens to be a planet-type number, a crystal,
It's vulnerable. It betrays its own structure because it resists the chaos. This suggests that positive, or crystal numbers, are potential backdoors in cryptography. If you're a hacker, you aren't trying to break the door down, you're looking for the crystals. They're the ones that crack open from the inside.
that is a terrifying thought. It implies there's a class of weak numbers scattered through our security systems that we didn't even know were weak.
Yeah.
So, counterintuitively, if we want to be safe, we want our security to be chaotic.
You want the chaos. You want the spirals. The comet numbers mask their internal structure much, much better because they behave like a fluid. They don't give you that constant 319 heartbeat to lock onto.
But there's a flip side to the chaos too, right? The paper mentioned something about prime numbers being born in the chaos.
Yes, this is the beautiful duality of it. The negative, or chaos zones, are where new prime numbers emerge.
Wait, born? How is a number born?
Well, think about that turbulence we described, that Fibonacci spiraling, that searching pattern. That is the environment where prime numbers are found. It's like the turbulence creates the friction or the spark for new primes to exist.
So the chaos isn't just secure, it's creative. It's the evolutionary engine of the number line.
It is.
This completely changes how I picture the number line. I used to think of it as just steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. A smooth, flat road stretching to infinity.
And that's the illusion we're all taught. It's linear, it's flat. But this research shows it is textured. It has topography. It has liquids and solids. It has comets crashing into things and planets orbiting silently. It has real texture.
And it creates this incredible image of the universe that deep down, even in the most abstract logic, nature prefers this mix of order and chaos. The double helix isn't just a biological accident in our cells, it's an arithmetic necessity.
It suggests that information itself requires this structure. You can't store complex information in a purely rigid crystal. It's too static, it can't adapt, and you can't store it in pure gas. It just dissipates, it flies away. You need the helix, you need the interaction between the spine and the vine.
It's funny, we started this whole conversation talking about twins, identical twins, and we realized that underneath the surface, they are nothing alike.
One is a statue, one is a storm.
So next time you see a number, maybe don't just take it at face value. It might be a boring old integer, or it might be a chaotic spiral held together by invisible rivets, hiding a whole secret geometry.
And if you're looking at your bank account password or you're generating a new SSH key, you should pray it's a spiral, not a crystal.
Seriously. I'm going to be looking at my Peon code with a lot of suspicion tonight, wondering if it's broadcasting its factors to the world.
It really does make you wonder. I mean, we looked at numbers in the 20,000s today. They're tiny. If they have this much personality, this much complex geometry hidden inside them, imagine the structures hiding inside the numbers with hundreds of digits.
There could be entire solar systems in there.
There could be cathedrals of logic we haven't even begun to map. The further out you go, the more complex the helix might become.
Well, on that note, I think my brain is sufficiently spiraling. This has been a trip through the lattice. Thank you for guiding us through the chaos today.
Always a pleasure to explore the hidden side of math.
And to you listening, keep looking for those hidden textures. Sometimes the things that look identical on the surface are living in completely different realities. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.